Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Dropping Down from the Rafters podcast here on Toned In Entertainment. Joining me tonight from Texas is Hysteria and Ridley Thorne. How you ladies doing?
We're doing good. How are you? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel like I'm safe on this side of the screen because in Philadelphia, I remember Ridley, he said, when I asked for percentage of the Cholas magazine, I said, where's my cut? And he said, you know what? You could get cut. So
I mean, you could still get cut. You think you're safe in Florida, but yeah, exactly. We might have reach out there. You never know.
If anybody has reach, I think you ladies do. You make a quick phone call, and so I'm going to be on my best behavior tonight then.
That's right. We love to hear that.
Okay. Now, since we had our fun little interview in Philadelphia, you ladies have been very busy, including a 10 women match where both of y'all got to team up and beat up Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, that's probably been one of the highlights of the year for me so far. It was really intimidating being in there with someone such as herself. She's done a lot. She's been all over the place, and she has such a big name. Not just her, but her dad, and I believe his dad before him. So it was it was a little jarring when we initially heard it, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're pretty kick-ass, and I think we handled ourselves pretty well against her. She got the win, but whatever.
That's okay. It's not always about just that victory, the W in the column. Sometimes it's about the impression maybe that you leave behind.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, we had a lot of fun getting to beat up her and her little ruquitas and all that. And she hasn't come back to San Antonio since then. So
I think we left an impression.
Exactly. I think we made a point.
Statement made, that's for sure.
She left right after, and she has not been back.
Yep.
Now, I find in a lot of your matches, it seems like you're always getting paired up with maybe the same group of ladies that you're beating up all the time. I see a lot of times it's Key Vibes. It's a lot of times it's Izzy Moreno that you're all going up against. Do they just not get enough of the Cholas?
I think they like getting beaten,
They're just so obsessed with us at this point.
They really are. And now I think they have the refs on their side because they keep putting us in matches together. One of the matches before our last ones, they clearly cheated to win. Like, we both got pinned, even though I think
it wasn't even like they even do their job right.
Yeah,
like,
we weren't legal. I wasn't legal. She was
legal. Yeah. I was like, I didn't kick out because, why kick? Hello, she is not even legal. Why is she even pinning me? What is this?
We thought the ref was going to be there to do his job, but that didn't happen, obviously. Not even the refs can be trusted these days. But if they want to keep getting their little petty wins, at the end of the day, we know that we're the ones that are beating them up. So if they want to keep coming back for it, they can keep coming back and getting it.
They did.
Yeah.
Callie won. She beat you.
Yeah, exactly. Callie's the new women's champ.
She absolutely is. I was going to say, when you're teamed up with Callie and Tita, it just feels like I don't think any ref, at least in Texas, can control the situation that you ladies bring to the ring. I watch them and they're like, they don't know what to do. We need better quality refs out in Texas, I think.
I think we do. But I don't know. The people want to see good fights. I think the refs know that sometimes, so they're just like, let's just let them scrap. But I don't want to get in that.
Now, let's go one by one. Hysteria, why and how did your pro wrestling journey begin?
Well, wrestling has always been a big thing to me and my family. We grew up watching it all the time. And so for me, the way I actually believed I could do it was I went kind of on when AEW first started. They first started coming to Texas. Obviously, the tickets are cheaper than WWE, so let's go, let's check it out. And I started actually following Thunder Rosa for a little bit because I was a fan. So I was watching her on AEW, and at the time, whenever she was trying to get the title and stuff. So I saw when she won in San Antonio. Then I heard she had her own promotion, Mission Pro. So I thought, you know what, let's just go check it out. I've never been to a local show before. And it definitely made an impression on me. That is when I found out about the school, and I was like, how do I get in this? How do I get involved? So that's how it came out for me.
So just in 3 years or so, that you saw Thunder Rosa and AEW, and it seems like it's been a really quick journey for you then.
It has been like it's crazy because I just saw Thunder today. Like we just had like a whole thing on the local news with her on Mission Pro, and it's just really full circle, and it's like real crazy how everything just happened so fast.
I was gonna actually say that because I did see a picture that was posted with y'all there, like doing some media and press, and like both of you are still students at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing press for like events already. You're going to conventions. You're wrestling for like a promotion like Mission Pro, outside of your school, the hybrid school. Like that is just to me, it's really really cool.
We have definitely been blessed. Our coach Chris Marvel has definitely given us a lot of opportunities, and we're very grateful for them.
Yeah, he really, when he believes in you, he'll absolutely give you the world as long as you work hard. And that's something that we both really appreciate is everything that he's given us along along this really long journey.
What was it about hybrid that made you both choose to go there?
Honest truth with me was I actually messaged all the schools here in San Antonio, and Marvel was just the fastest to get back to me, and I'm very glad he did because just when I went and like saw the school for the first time, I just already felt like, yeah, this is where I belong. Like I remember I went in, introduced myself to him, and everybody was just warming up. Like I saw Ridley, like I like remember her, like I was like everyone came by, fist pumped me, and they're like hi, and like introduced themselves, and they really try to make you like feel welcome there. So that was it definitely like I'm a very anxious like person, so it definitely helped like going in and easing back into like especially after the whole pandemic and everything and all that. So it was like like people, but then it was like okay people like
And now we're your people.
now they're my people.
And what about you, Ridley? Because obviously you were there before Hysteria.
Yeah, a little bit before. Before I started training, about 2 years before, my husband actually joined the school first. I think he was the second hybrid challenge winner. It's a challenge that they have like every couple of years where you compete with 15 other people, and if you end up winning, then you get half off of your tuition. And he ended up winning, being I think it was the 2020 winner. So he started training like way before I did, and it wasn't until after I saw his first match where I was like, wow, like I think I could do this, So then, I came by hybrid, and at that point I had already been helping with like ring setups and teardowns and stuff, just having him be a part of it, and I've been getting to know everyone like along the way, and at that point everyone was just like, when are you going to join, when are you going to join? So I was like, you know what, I think I can do this. So it was very much like she said, just very a welcoming vibe that came from everyone there at the school, especially Coach Marvel and a lot of our ringleaders like Brandon Weiss and Casey Blackrose. They just make you feel very, very much like you can do this.
I think that's a very important lesson that Hysteria brought up was she messaged a bunch of schools, and they were hybrid was the first one to get back to her because I feel like I do this for podcasting, and I'm reaching out to businesses and reaching out to people, and I'm always looking the people that respond to messages and cover fastly or quickly are the ones that get coverage, and the ones that we go to and the ones we want to work with. And I feel like a lot of businesses don't check their messages. I've seen that firsthand, and you all have probably seen that firsthand too, like with your wrestling journey. And I think it's such an important lesson right there learned is that here's hybrid. They read your messages, boom, you're in there. And now you ladies are definitely making a statement, going with them to conventions and doing stuff. So I just think it's a great business lesson for everybody watching this is how important it is to, just do the little things. Like read your
Yeah.
messages, and you don't look at the talent that came in to hybrid right there when a simple message read. It's like I just think it's a very important message, and I hope more people continue with just treating it as a business as it appears you ladies definitely are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly one of the things that our coaches do stress the most. They're just like, you have your phones, it's readily available all the time. But like you can't just rely on social media, you know, you have to like, you know, be professional and, you know, give people your email addresses and don't just rely on like your phone number, you know, you have to be constantly checking your business email and stuff like that if you want to get these bookings and opportunities and whatnot. Because, you know, like God forbid you didn't get an opportunity because you just forgot to check your email that day.
Yeah.
So, very
So,
important.
Ridley, when your husband, when you told your husband, okay, I'm going to go and try out and do this, what was his thoughts on it?
He was the one who was encouraging me, honestly, because this is something that I wanted to do since I was a kid and I saw China on WWF for the first time, you know, just larger than life. And, you know, like as you get older, it's something that just becomes like more and more like out of reach, if you will, or unfeasible. Um, but it wasn't too long after his first match where I was like, I kind of want to try it, but I had a lot of self-doubt, you know, and he was just like, we're gonna get you in there, like we're gonna get you doing your cardio and we're gonna prep you and we're gonna get you in there. So let's do this. But he was really enthusiastic about it.
And Hysteria, what did your like family and friends think when you went to go and do this?
They were definitely really excited about it. I did hold off like a month because I didn't know how they would respond.
So you kind of kept it like on the DL
Yeah,
then?
like for like I like kept it on the deal for like a month. I'm like, let me think about it. Let me sit. You know, I went and saw the school. I'm like, let me not, because you know I'm an Aries. I have a history of just jumping into things and just like going. So I was like, let me like wait on it for a month. That entire month, I was just like, I want to go. Like I need to I need to be there.
To make sure you really wanted
Yes,
it.
and like I really did. Like every day, like I was laying down, I was like, I could be there right now, doing something. You know. So they were definitely really excited when I told them. For me, it is a little bit emotional because a month after I joined the school, my father did pass away. So that's something that's definitely pushed me to like stick with it, you know? So yeah.
Okay. It's one of the things that actually pushed me to start up the podcasting was my dad was the biggest, like when I say the biggest wrestling fan in the world, like my dad, if there was a 24/7 channel back when we were growing up, like he was the one that had it on. And when he passed away too, it was kind of like, I always wanted to do something in wrestling. I didn't know, like, obviously my age is now too much to step in the ring. And no, it is now. Trust me, I'm with that DDP age right now.
It's never too late to
No.
start. I just want to let you know
Okay,
that.
okay. But I like to talk and I like to share people's stories, and I think that's where I am in my life journey. And I felt like that was my way to kind of like take on his legacy a little bit. So I definitely connect with that story right there. I think it's really cool and really powerful, and it's something that definitely keeps us driving forward as well too. You know, to make them proud, even though that they're not here at this
No,
point.
he was so stoked. He was
Yeah.
so stoked. Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be happy and proud because I've seen the stuff that you both have been doing. It's just been really cool. And, we don't usually have too many students here on the channel, but I just had a lot of fun with y'all in Philadelphia, and we didn't really get to really talk too much. So I was like, you know what? Let's bring y'all on before you get too big. And then I have to track down your manager or something like that.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. Mosh Pit Messiah has a question here. He says, is that a Judge Dredd poster in your background?
Yeah, you know it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, we're actually in my bedroom right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a mix of stuff, but I love Judge Dredd. Oh my gosh. He's really, really cool. And Anthrax, of course. It's actually an Anthrax poster, but it's from their single I Am the Law.
Oh shit, okay. Like I don't have much familiarity with Anthrax other than they were on an episode of Married with Children back in the day, and they like took over the Bundy's household and from like some concert or some raffle or something that they won. That's my experience with Anthrax. As far as Judge Dredd goes, like is it like the comics or the movies, Ridley?
The comics, honestly. I read the case files first. Like I think Judge Dredd versus Batman was one of the first things that I read. Like back in the early 2010s. You know, it was really cool. And then I didn't watch the movies until afterwards, like maybe like 6 years ago, and I saw the Dredd one, like the more recent one first, and I was like, man, this is a really cool movie. And then after the fact, my husband Diego was like, "You have to watch the OG with Stallone," and I was like, "Okay." So like I gave it a try, and it's just like really campy, but I mean, I still love it nonetheless. Like it took a couple of tries before I appreciated it, but in a nutshell, yes, I love the comics first and movie second, probably.
Okay, so it's one of those ones. I remember actually my dad taking me to see Judge Dredd because we were such huge, like, Sylvester Stallone fans growing
Yeah.
up. And I think it was the first movie I ever fell asleep in the theater, the first one, because I was like, because it was campy. It was, I mean, it might
Yeah.
be something I go back and watch now, but I remember like I had such a vision of Sylvester Stallone at the time and didn't
Yeah.
understand the comics either. Maybe if I
Mhm.
went back and watch it now, I might have a different appreciation like I do for some movies now. But I remember
Yeah.
like knocking out in the movie theater for that
Oh my
movie.
gosh. I mean, as long as you eventually finished it, I guess that's all that counts. It is
um,
really cool though when you mix like Stallone and Rob Schneider together. You're just like, what is this? And it's camp.
like it shouldn't work. I mean, it's 90s camp, so I should go back and give it another try then.
Absolutely, would recommend.
Okay. Mosh Pit Messiah says, going to see Toned in a cage match soon? Yeah, on Xbox.
Yeah.
That's where you'll see me in a cage match.
Yeah.
He also says, respect the badge and fear the gun.
He is the law.
He is the law. Now, I know you ladies have only been doing this for a short time, and I'll start with Hysteria. What has been maybe the thing that you've learned about yourself that maybe you went into trying this that maybe you didn't think you could do that you have been able to do?
I guess like I've always had trouble talking in front of people. That's something I've had a battle with since I was, a little girl. I was like the kid who was like always by my mom. I like didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want like no attention on me, but which is crazy because like I want all the attention like in like deep down low key, but like I don't like exude that because it's like also like, oh wait, don't look at me, like it's something wrong. But like I have definitely learned a lot. One of our coaches, Don Juan, he has definitely helped a lot with that because I've always been told that I have a great speaking voice and that I speak like with good words and stuff. But like as soon as like people are looking at me, I'll like freeze or I'll just like talk as fast as I can and just like dip and leave like okay that didn't happen, But so that's something I've definitely had to learn to get better at. But I believe I have, like it's definitely a lot easier, when I have my girls right with me because we just, sometimes we just riff off each other and it comes out way naturally.
So, how do you flip the switch, before as you go through the curtain? Is there like a pre-match ritual or does it just happen naturally going through the curtain?
It kind of just happens. I think it's just because I'm like such a people pleaser. Like I know like when I go out there, I just have to do it. It just happens. It's just like once you hear the music, once you're just there, like I've always done this because I'm an athlete. I always do like a couple of frog jumps and just whoosh it all, and then just go out there and just try and just make a scene, get noticed, and get people talking. Like I've always been like I've always had to be like nice. I've always been considered like the nice one, like the smart one, the quiet one, like in my family. So like this has been like a real good release just to show like the other side of me of just like no, actually, like I don't like any of you guys, or like actually this is how I really feel, like like especially like talking to the crowd and just there are those fans who definitely give it back and they'll go back and forth with you, and it just does something too. It just makes it all like come out essentially.
Let me ask you: do one of you have like earphones in and the other one doesn't, or both do? Because
Oh,
you both do. Because okay, so Hysteria, when you talk, if you could come a little closer, because your audio kind of fades out just a little bit there. Okay, and really, what about you? What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned about yourself?
Honestly, I'd have to be on the same page with Celine because I it really took a lot for me to come out of my shell, which is ironic considering what we do. And I kind of still have that issue if I'm being honest. Like when we're just doing like practice matches at hybrid, it's hard for me to channel my gimmick and my character when it's just like my peers watching, but there's something about the crowd that just makes you like wake up in a sense.
mm,
And that's where you get that energy from that like I'm Ridley Thorne and I can beat anyone kind of feeling. Just, and it comes from your heart. Like it's crazy. But definitely like breaking out of my shell was a really huge factor for me because like she was saying, like I was never the one to like go on stage and do anything. I'm very much like a dance by myself in my room kind of girl, like when no one's looking. Um, so I'd say that has probably been like the biggest thing for me to overcome as far as getting into this life.
We were essentially the kids in middle school with the long sweaters and the headphones and then never talking.
Yeah.
So
I used to like to pretend I was invisible.
Yeah.
But in professional wrestling, that doesn't fly, right?
Yeah, all eyes on you.
Let me ask you, how good or how different is it that when you perform in front of just, let's say, a crowd or a hot crowd? Like, what
Oh,
is the difference in the feeling of your matches then?
honestly, it's weird because I feel like there hasn't been a quiet match that we've
That's a
had so
great answer.
far.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah, no,
about.
you
Yes.
can
Okay.
see us. Okay,
Yeah,
so
like there hasn't been like a second where I'm just like, oh my gosh, we need to get the crowd back.
Mhm.
It's like everyone thus far, and granted, we've only had like two handfuls of matches at this point, but I don't think there's been dead air so far. I would hate to hear it if I'm
Yeah.
being honest. Um, but yeah, it's deafening at some points, and of course, like when like I'd have to say my first two matches, I didn't hear anything at all because I was just so focused. But when I got to the back, everyone was just like, bro, like the crowd was blowing up. It was crazy. Um, but yeah, like I don't want to hear I don't want to hear a not hot crowd. I feel like it would be terrible.
Let me ask Hysteria this question because obviously, really, you saw your husband training, so you had some familiarity with the wrestling school. So, Hysteria, when like I like to use the analogy, like when you go to like a new gym, you go to like an Orange Theory or CrossFit for the first time, right? And you don't know anybody in there, right? And you're like, okay, what goes through your mind the first day, the day one when you walk into train as a professional wrestler? You're looking at the ring, you're looking at all these strangers. What is going through your mind at that time?
The first thing that went through like my mind, I guess you can say, was like, I can do this. Like it was very much like, you got this. Like you're here for a reason.
Come a little closer.
Adjust your headphones.
Is that good? Is that better?
That is better, I think. Go for it. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so I just had to tell myself like, you got it. Like I said, mentioned before, I've always been a very athletic person. I love my sports and stuff, and I was a retired athlete for a little bit. After high school, I had to get my oil up the joints a bit or whatever. Definitely, that it was definitely like my first day of cardio. I thought like I can do this, and people were like, it's okay, like you could just stop whenever you want and wait, and like we'll start the next set. But I was like, no, I got to do it. And I went to bed that day and woke up. My God, I felt my age for sure. But yeah, that was essentially what I thought was like, you got this, you can do it, you're here for a reason.
Okay. Now let's talk about the formation of the Cholas and how this all comes together with the trio.
Oh man, I think honestly we have Maddie Rinkowski to thank for that, or Ren Sinclair now, if you will. Um, and this all goes back to this feud between her and Key Vibes. And ooh, Key, I've grown to hate her so much because she keeps asking for it, like we said. But Key is from the south side of San Antonio, so of course, you have Hispanic heritage there and whatnot. And that got into Maddie's mouth at some point. She was just like, you and your little Southside homies and all the cholas who eat hot
We didn't
Cheetos
take it
and
well
stuff. Yeah. No, we were very offended. It was very offensive. So, of course, we had to come out and defend Key, because, you know, San
You
Anto.
can't just say something and not expect,
Yeah.
the
Southside sticks
aftermath.
together. Yeah, so Maddie started that whole feud, but little did we know that Key wouldn't be great to work for. So
Yeah, so we worked with Maddie, and then she just asked to keep us, and here we are.
Here we are today. She's on
Now,
to bigger, better things.
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say for me, I really get excited when I see people that I've interviewed get signed to like the big promotions, like Sky Blue, who I've had on the show. I think I'm the only person who has had a live interview with her and not a podcast one. But I also had, two other ladies from Texas, including Maddie Rinkowski. When Mission Pro came down to Florida, we interviewed her, and then Roxanne Perez, Roxy, as well too. So when you see ladies, from Texas, let's just say like Roxanne Perez, and Ren Sinclair being signed to the big companies and now on TV all the time, that's got to provide a lot of like motivation and inspiration. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it seem feasible, honestly, that like we can do this and not just, like for Texas, but I believe that like it does make you believe that you could make it to the big stage. Of course, everyone's goal and aspiration is wrestling is to make it to WWE, so it makes it feasible.
Okay. Now, for you ladies, obviously, I mentioned that you're tagging a lot and you're coming across some of the same ladies kind of over and over again. But who are some of the tag teams that both of y'all would like to square off with here in the future?
I think for me personally, it's definitely the King Bees, because we've
That was
seen
gonna be
them
my
work.
number one
Yeah,
choice for
yeah,
y'all.
yeah.
Yes.
Because we've seen them work in person, and like we've met Danny, and like she is very, she's really nice. She's kind of, I consider kind of like a locker room leader. Like anywhere she goes, I've just noticed like her stature. She just like channels that like champion energy. But I would definitely love to square up with her. And I really, we could like throw down, and we could get something going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd have to say the same. Like, I love the duality between Danny and Charity, like the powerhouse and the speedball.
Mhm.
It's really awesome. I,
Yeah.
I think we could take them though.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely noticed that like whenever they perform, they get some of the loudest reactions from the crowd.
Yeah, they're really hot right now. They're
Mhm.
everywhere,
And
absolutely
I was
everywhere.
gonna say NWA Women's Tag Team Champions,
Yeah.
Mission Pro Tag Team
Yeah.
Champions. We were actually, and Mosh Pit Messiah, who's in the chat too. Me and him were at the NWA event where they won the titles that night, and the crowd was super hot in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for the King Bees. Let me tell you that, like that crowd was hot. But yeah, I love the clash of styles that they have, and it's almost like a mirror image, like
Yeah,
both of you
Exactly.
going
Yeah.
up against them. Okay.
exactly. They're always entertaining to watch. We
Mhm.
actually got to work with Danny at one point when we were still working for Maddie as ourselves. And I think we actually caught Danny.
Yeah.
She dove on
She
us.
dives on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very brave.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about a little bit of the evolution of maybe the wardrobe, the gear for the Cholas. It kind of, when you first started, it looked like it was like the flannel and the very kind of like gangster looking type outfits. I haven't seen that so much. With you had the head bandanas on and everything like that. Is that something that y'all are moving away from now?
It's something that like personally I'm kind of trying to move away from because like no one's gonna say no to their first gig, of course. It's like you get your opportunities and you're just like you're stoked to get them. You're like, yes, of course. But for me, for Ridley, that's not really who she is. So I'm still in the era where I'm trying to find myself. I haven't figured her out completely, but yeah, I'm just trying to get away from it a little bit, but at the same time not stray too far because that is kind of part of my heritage coming from like a
Mhm.
Hispanic family and all of that. So there's culture there.
Now let's go
Yeah.
back. Oh, sorry, Hysteria.
No, it's okay. My bad. I know. I tend to interrupt. I'm just nervous. But yes, like the same thing. Like I'm still a brown girl. I've always been a flannel girl. I'm always gonna have one. I'm always gonna have a bandana in my pocket. But I'm definitely discovering who I am like along this journey in the past like 2.5 years. I'm definitely not the same person I was when I first started.
Now I asked you about family and friends, but I always think like maybe like our peers sometimes, like high school friends. Like I always tell the story, like, when I went to high school or school, even I had like that one friend that like professional wrestling, and nobody else would kind of understand what I'm doing nowadays. If you were to like go to your high school reunion and people actually realize like how much butt you're all like kicking like on the weekends, what would maybe some of your former classmates say?
For me, so I guess a mix of both. Like I have a lot of people like start messaging me recently from like people I've gone to school with, or like some old coworkers being like, "Oh my god, like you're kicking ass, you're killing it, like it's nice seeing you." But I've also have noticed that since my following has been going up, it's also I am losing a couple of people who I've known like in from high school and stuff. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I see,
What don't you like about me?
how it is, but you know. It's not for everybody, but that's okay because it's for me.
And what about you,
I
Ridley?
I imagine people would be really surprised because like in high school I wasn't like I was probably the antithesis of what I am now. It's like I was like, a little scene kid, of course, so I looked different, but I was kind of like the quiet girl, I would stick to myself a lot. So I feel like a lot of people would be surprised.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What? How did this happen?" Actually, it's funny because one of my old classmates actually does train and work with us. He's a graduate at Hybrid, but his name's Rilo King. But fun fact, we actually graduated together. So it's funny that you say that.
Okay. Now, when I had Key Vibes on the channel right after Mania weekend, she mentioned that she's like extremely into ghost hunting. Would you ever go on a Key Vibes ghost hunting tour?
Honestly, yeah, I think
I think we would, and then we'd leave her somewhere.
Okay.
depending on how the trip goes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably trip her to get away from
Yeah.
some sort of spirit.
She'll be our bait to like get out.
Yeah.
But,
I wouldn't expect any other answer from you two. That's the perfect answer. That during WrestleCon this year in Philadelphia, you know, you had the booth there, but you also were doing a lot of like work with some of the talent is there too. And I saw some of the pictures, like, it was the Hardy Boys and Ronda Rousey. So can you just kind of like each of you give me a little bit of like your story experience of WrestleCon and maybe Mania weekend as a package this year?
We didn't sleep that entire time. It was insane. No, it was really fun, but it was a lot of hard work. Like we were legitimately working like 10 or 12 hours like every day during that whole weekend, like setting stuff up and like managing crowds and crowd control and all of those things and doing signings for a lot of the talent that was there. So it was a lot of running around, but the payoff is absolutely incredible. Like at the end of the day, you get to mingle with the talent that's there, and you can get like an autograph and pictures taken, and get to converse with people that you grew up watching, and that in itself, like even if we didn't get paid, I'd be like, this is worth it. It's so worth it. Like I get to be in the same room with Sting and the Hardy Boys and Lita and Trish Stratus. Like it's insane. Like for me, the Hardy Boys were like they were one of the tag teams that I watched the most when I was growing up. I've always kind of been in like that alternate fashion kind of mindset. And when I saw Jeff and Matt for the first time, I was like, oh my God, they look so cool. So they definitely caught my attention when I was a kid. And just getting to meet them in person, like some of my idols, it was just absolutely amazing. And I'll cherish it forever.
And what about you, Hysteria?
I'm definitely in the same exact boat. Meeting the Hardys was
Oh,
definitely like, and then seeing like
come a little closer.
Goth Baby was also like her running around. She's so cute. But yeah, definitely the Hardys because I love tag team wrestling. Them and Lita were definitely, the first people I watched when I was a little girl, and me and my cousins would beat each other up and the balloon bounce, pretending to be them and jumping off things we shouldn't be jumping off of. So you know, especially meeting Lita, like I was just so like, oh, let me just, it's fine, it's okay. Like I had to like Husa myself, you know. I was definitely most nervous to meet her, but she was definitely, you know, my inspiration and, you know, definitely my favorite. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, all three of them were at the convention I was at this week in St. Augustine, Florida, and the line for the Hardys was absolutely insane. And Lita and Trish had their like the line was insane. They were the headliners, craziness out there, and it's really cool to see them pulling in such huge crowds, even to this day. And I just think it's a really cool experience. When you tell them, you know, that you're training to be professional wrestlers. Is there any advice that any of them have given you that you've really held on to?
Oh my gosh. I know Lita talked to her the first time that she met her, but this past this past con in Philadelphia, I had already met Matt before, and I hadn't met Jeff before Philadelphia. So when I got to meet him, I just like I had told him that I had just recently made my debut officially, and he was just like, "How did it go?" And honestly, I ended up having like a slight nervous breakdown because you're telling how you felt inside during your debut to a person that you grew up watching, and you're just like, he doesn't care, you know. But like I found myself like just spilling out, and like, you know, the tears started coming because I was like reliving everything that I experienced before I hit the curtain. And at the end of it, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm crying, and he was just like, it's passion. So I was like, holy crap, like he was listening. That's insane.
That's really cool when they actually do take the time, because a lot of them could just say, "Oh, that's great, good luck," and walk away. You know,
Yeah.
the fact that I mean, everybody's busy at the conventions, and anybody that takes 30 seconds to listen to a story, I think it's much because that's all really people have is a minute to 30 seconds at these conventions to really talk
Exactly.
to. And the fact that he took that little bit of time, I think is just it's meaningful in just such a huge.
Oh yeah, it meant the absolute world to me. Like I'll never forget it.
And what about you, Hysteria?
Well, like Ridley mentioned, so like before, like our first con that we did, it was actually for here in town, like for the Rumble. And I just remember we were in a room, you know, helping out, whatever, and Lita was just sitting there, and that was like probably like the first star, like legend, you know, I've ever like seen in person. And I was just like, and it had to be Lita. Like I couldn't look at her. I was like looking on the ground, and yeah, everyone was just talking, and I just like made my little, you know, hee hee ha ha joke. Like I was just like she was like, oh, how's it going? Like it's crazy, you know, like all these people here and stuff. Because like it was a lot of people, a lot more people came than we expected.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, it's been fine, but you know, I thrive in chaos, you know, hee hee. And she was just like, well, this is definitely, you know, the business for you then. And like that's I've been living that little moment like for like the past like year and a half. Just like I played in my head, even though it was just like a sentence. I was just like, but she said, you know, I belong here.
I absolutely love that. One of the last questions I have for y'all is, I go to a lot of shows and I'm covering them, and you know, I'm not a performer, but I'm there doing a lot of interviews, and I get into the matches and I get excited, and I come home, and sometimes for me, like I did all these interviews and I watched all this awesome wrestling, and I'm excited, and I have a hard time winding down at the end of the night. Sometimes I'm up for hours because I just had such a great night. For y'all who perform and you have the adrenaline run and you performed in front of a crowd, you beat other ladies up, which has to be a lot of fun. What is y'all's secret to like just winding down and maybe coming back to normal at the end of the night?
I think we're still figuring that out.
Yeah. Honestly, like for me personally, sleep comes so easy after a match. It's the 2 days before, like thinking about it, that I just cannot. I'm so restless. I it sounds cheesy and like kind of cringy that I'm about to say it out loud, but literally all of the matches that I've had the night before, I'm just dreaming about it, like, and not good dreams either. They're like stress dreams of everything that can go wrong. So I don't sleep well before my matches, but afterward, that's just, I did it. We called it a day. I got to beat someone up. Now I get to sleep easy and on to the next one. So that's for me personally.
No, not me. I live on it all night. I like
Oh.
the next day, like I'm just like replaying it in my head. Like I'm just like absorbing the energy from it. Like I'm like an adrenaline junkie, so it's just I'm gonna stay up until like 3, 4 in the morning, and like just laying there thinking about everything that like went down.
Well, what other future shows and events do you ladies have coming up here in the future?
Speaking of people that are obsessed with us, the same ladies.
We have the calibration.
We
Calibration.
yeah, the calibration is coming up. So Callie won her hybrid women's championship, of course. We weren't invited to this next show, so we decided to throw a little party for her in celebration of her greatness and us, the greatness that is us. So yeah, I would definitely tune into the next show, just, because we love Callie and we wanted to throw a party for her.
Okay, really cool, really cool. Yeah, it was really cool. Like when she was on my show January 1st this year, and she said her main goal this year was to win a championship. And it's like I love these little sound bites. So hopefully we have something cool in here. Maybe we can ask you, your future goals and hopes. So that way, when it happens, we can snip that as well too and put it out there. So, Hysteria, what is like something that you're really looking forward to accomplish in professional wrestling?
I mean, the same deal. I want a title too. Whether it's a singles or a tag title. I've always been a fan of tag team wrestling. I love the Hardys. I love the Young Bucks. I love the Iconics. Like to me, tag team wrestling is really where it's at. So I really hope. I think I found my little soulmate over here. My little platonic soulmate through wrestling, and I hope we just take on Texas and we're able to take a promotion at a time together.
Absolutely.
And Ridley, for you?
For me, of course, everyone wants the gold. I hope within like at least by 2025, like to have my first title. Again, like she said, whether it's like singles or tag team. But honestly, at the end of the day, just complete truthfulness, if wrestling could pay for my life, like if I could live off of wrestling, that's the goal for me. I don't want to have a day job and I want my dream to pay for everything.
That's so awesome. It's the goal and it's definitely obtainable. I love what you ladies are doing. I'm fans of y'all's, since I've been watching your lady stuff. So you're definitely doing great stuff. Is there anything else that you all want to touch on while we have you here?
I guess check out the Hybrid YouTube channel because we are uploading our matches. They recently uploaded our debuts on there, so I would definitely, everyone go check it out because for as many subscribers as there is, I don't think not enough people are watching.
Yeah,
I think we need more eyes.
Absolutely. Definitely. We do go to Hybrid School of Wrestling. We have our own YouTube channel and all that. And follow us on social media and you can, see all of our upcoming shows and whatnot. Everyone's invited to the calibration, like I said, where we're celebrating Callie. That's happening next week on the 22nd, again at the Hybrid School of Wrestling. Plug it.
Yes.
Y'all ladies know how to market yourselves and the school. I like it. I'm digging it. Okay.
Yeah, it's all the sponsor shout out video that we be doing.
But you definitely have to watch our social media because a lot of the times they'll spring a match on us. So you definitely got to keep your eye out and just like watch, what we post and follow where we're at.
Exactly. It's very sporadic and you never know what's going to happen next.
Definitely. That's the world of professional wrestling. I see it firsthand too from a behind the scenes aspect. I go to a show and I'm like, okay, this wasn't what was advertised. What's going on here? And it's crazy fun. So where can people follow each of you at?
You can follow me on Instagram at hystericals.self.
And you can follow me on Instagram as well. It's bat.sabbath, aka Ridley Thorne.
Well, awesomeness. Do you ladies have plans to head out to Vegas for WrestleMania next year?
Oh man, we actually got invited from WrestleCon, so to kind of do the same thing, they offered to set us up in like a hotel and stuff for working, of course. So it's definitely something that we're looking into. So if you're going to be there, then
hopefully see you again.
yeah, exactly. Hopefully the interview will go better this time. We don't have to threaten you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you act right.
I try to learn my lesson very quickly. No, my wife and I have already talked about it that we are going to go out to Vegas next year for Mania weekend. Vegas we've been to once, and we've been looking for a reason to go back again because it's just so much damn fun out there. So why not combine fun with wrestling as well in Vegas? So yeah, no, it's definitely on our radar as well too. So ladies, again, nothing but the best, and good luck with everything that you're doing, and keep kicking everybody's ass so you get into the ring with.
Of course, without a doubt. Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Well, guys, if you like interviews like this with the Cholas, Hysteria, and Ridley Thorne, guys, make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Tone It Entertainment for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.